Hello, everyone, and welcome to Whoiud, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. My name is Ben, and I am here with my co-host Cam. As always, how you doing today, Cam?
Remember at first that was kind of hard to pronounce, but now it's kind of just like kind of rolls off the tongue.
What was hard to pronounce?
An official Doctor Who watch along podcast. Like the at first it's kind of like, oh fuck, we have to think about it. But now
Hmm.
it's like we got this.
No, we got it down. This is like our 28th time doing that.
Damn.
We're pros now. We're perfect.
A lot of Doctor Who.
Lot of Doctor Who. But yeah, I'm all right. Looking forward to more Tom Baker. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. Today we will be discussing The Ark in Space, the second serial of season 12, broadcast from January 25th to February 15th, 1975. And this continues right where Robot left off, where they did a test flight to prove Harry wrong, or no, they went in. I think Harry fucked it up and hit a lever he shouldn't have, and they dematerialized.
I think they say that they were only going to go to the moon, and then it's the Ark in space.
That's right. So yeah, they encounter this Ark, a spaceship containing hundreds or thousands, I'm not sure which, of cryogenically frozen humans ready to repopulate the Earth after an apocalyptic event 10,000 years in the past. But they overslept. However, the Wern, a giant insect-like species, have also decided to make the Ark their home and like laying eggs inside the sleeping people to take over their bodies, absorb their memories. Really interesting concept for an alien species, a monster. Do you want to tell us about the behind the scenes, Cam, or should I?
So directed by Ronnie Bennett, who also goes on to do Sontaran Experiment next week, and will go on to do The Mask of Mandragora. Written by Robert Holmes. He has now, well, I guess last week he was officially script editor, but now he is script editor of Doctor Who. He is also the writer of the episode, but it was supposed to be John Lucarotti. He did a couple of First Doctor serials. He did the Marco Polo, the Aztecs, and the Massacre. But Robert Holmes just rewrote the whole thing, and he didn't even receive a writing credit,
Damn.
which is kind of weird. You would imagine that he would have got some credit for coming up with like the concept and stuff, but no, Robert Holmes just came in and said, "I'm going to rewrite everything, and I get the credit."
And of course, this is the first Philip Hinchcliffe produced episode.
Yes. Last week he was kind of just in the shadows. Now this week he is full on producer, and it's the start of what many call the golden age of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think I see what they're talking about. This is very, I'll just say, it's very good. Very solid. I think having not seen anything else that he's done, this is only my second time ever watching Tom Baker. I'm more on board with Tom Baker in his second episode than I was, when I was watching Doctor Who and the Silurians in Pertwee's era. He's very much more like instantly likable, and everything in the story is just very well done. Good sets, good costumes, very, very solid. What did you think, Cam?
I've seen this before. I saw it like it was when I was very young. I remember I rewatched it recently and I liked it. I mean, recently it was, like, it was still a long time ago. So it was fun revisiting this again because it's been at least 6 7 years since I've seen it. And yeah, it's a classic for a reason. It is definitely one of the best cases of what Doctor Who can be. It's just an extremely well-paced four-pot serial with great ideas thrown in there, a great villain, and an extremely great performance by Tom Baker.
Yes, again.
I love that first pot in particular. That first pot is one of my favorite first potters that we've seen so far in this watch along. It's so well paced. It kind of reveals the spaceship in the space station, I should say, extremely well. It constantly is making you question what is this, and you have this element of mystery to the environment that the characters also have. It's a great like first pot of a Doctor Who story. Again, just the pacing of it, it just flows so well into being this body horror story when it comes to Noah, and then it just moves on to this. I don't even know what you would call the Warren stuff. A little bit more of an action story. Less like a body horror story. A little bit more like we have to defeat the bad guys and save the day. It's extremely well. I loved it. I loved every moment of it, Ben.
Yeah, it juggles a lot of different themes and ideas really well, I think. Also, the dialogue continues to be really great.
Oh yeah.
A lot of quotable, like, one-liners, a lot of great monologues.
The one in particular that a lot of people cite, of course, is the Homo sapiens speech.
Yes.
That one is just it's one of the Doctor does that a lot of just like giving a spiel about how great the human race is. But this is kind of like the bar for like in terms of the Doctor giving how much he loves humanity and humans. It's so well done.
Yes, yes. He says later that human beings are his favorite species.
And the way he says that, Tom Baker gives it that alien element to it when he says it, that you like you believe it that he's saying like this alien is saying this about humanity.
Yeah, yeah, it has a really great kind of mystery in the atmosphere throughout. What do you think of Harry?
Harry's wonderful. I loved him in this story. It's
Really?
oh yeah. Do you not love Harry?
I mean, he's still just kind of a guy.
Yes, exactly. That is the best thing about Harry. He's just a guy.
I mean, he's, I guess, likable. For our first male companion in a long time, I want him to be a little bit more like heroic or something. I don't know.
He's shooting the guys. Do you not remember him with the gun going
I
pew pew?
guess he's missing the juice, I think. He's no Jamie.
No, he's not. No, Jamie. He's not like one of the great companions. But I love that he is just a fucking. He's just a guy, but dude. And there's something so likable for me about that. That he is just like I love just like the element that he is just like this. I believe naval doctor. It's great, and I love like that dynamic of just like he calls Sarah old girl, and then Sarah's like, "Don't call me that." He continues at the Sarah calling her old girl.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love that little detail in there. And I think he's used very well in the first part too. Though that since it gives us a little bit more Harry, just because we don't have Sarah for the majority of that first part, so it kind of gives us a little bit more of that Doctor Harry back and forth.
Yeah, someone who can not know what the hell is going on when Sarah isn't right there.
And also in the same way, like it's why that three companion dynamic works really well.
Yeah.
Because Sarah can do her own thing, and the Doctor, we can have the Sarah B plot, but still have an interesting A plot with the Doctor being able to still have back and forth.
Yeah. And the doctor can explain things to Harry.
Yeah.
And Harry is definitely not infallible. Not the smartest guy. I mean, he's smart in some areas. He's a good doctor, but there are a lot of things he does here that kind of drive the plot forward by making a mistake. Like, touching a button he shouldn't have. There's a quote I really like. Doctor says, "You haven't touched anything, have you, Harry?" Harry's like, "Me?" And the doctor says, "Well, there are only two of us here, and your name is Harry." Just immediately on his case.
Another line that like Tom can just deliver so easily and make it like just have that instant charisma.
And then later he says, "Your mind is beginning to work, Harry. It's entirely due to my influence, of course. You mustn't take any credit."
Which like I could imagine a line where like that like would feel weird for the Doctor to say that. Like I wouldn't like that line coming from John because I feel like it would be like too like arrogant or like I shouldn't say arrogant, but like it wouldn't be right. But Tom just has that charisma that he can get away with it.
It feels playful enough with him.
Yeah.
I didn't like when he was being mean to Sarah, though. Like, I get why.
No, that's like I was gonna mention that. Like that's one of my favorite moments in the whole serial. Probably like up there for me. It was a moment that even for my first viewing of this, that really like I remember watching this for the first time and watching that moment in particular really stood out to me of just like that is such a great dynamic between the two of them. That's not even like a thing that's on the page. That is something that's just literally that scene is works so well because of Elizabeth Sladen's and Tom Baker's chemistry. On their second episode, you get that scene, and that scene is just
Yeah.
sums up their whole relationship. It is so what how would you describe it?
Like he's pushing her to grow.
It just has that charm to it that's just undeniable. Just like that fact that he's just like at the end of it, how he just comes out of it, and the Sarah realizes what he did to her. It's just lovely. I love it so much, man.
Very proud of you, Sarah. The music for the episode was really good as well.
Oh yeah, this is the era where Dudley really
Oh,
like
is it still
steps
Dudley?
it up. It's still Dudley. And Dudley just steps it up. The Tom Baker's era. It is. He goes out with a bang.
How long is he there for?
Till Tom's second to last season.
Oh, wow.
He's only doesn't do Tom for the last season because then John Nathan Turner comes in and he says one of his big things is like he wants to have a new composer, bring a new life to the show.
Oh, I had no idea. I'm looking on the wiki while we're talking. He did like First Doctor stories, Dudley Simpson
Oh
did.
yeah, he's integral to the DNA of Doctor Who.
Yeah, apparently. Don't really remember like Planet of Giants being like really great score or anything, but some of the second Doctor ones on the list were pretty good.
Especially the his theme for Fairy of the Deep, the do do do
Oh
do.
yeah.
It's so good.
What did you think of the arc as a concept? These people that were put in suspended animation with the entire sum of humanity's knowledge.
I don't guess you would call this a generation ship. Generation ship wouldn't have cryo sleep like they do in this serial.
By generation ship, do you mean like one where they're having to travel a long distance and it's multiple?
Multiple generations of people. Like this wouldn't be that, but like it's kind of like I don't know how would you a colony ship.
No, it's more of a time
Yeah,
capsule.
time capsule colony ship. It's a great idea. It adds that element to the serial of real stakes.
Hmm.
You really do feel like this is like this story has the stakes of all of humanity
Oh yeah.
behind it, and there's something really great to that. That like at any moment you really like the Warren could take over Nova, and like people could start dying, but and then that gives the story the stakes that I think is makes the story work really well, especially in part four. But I think it also is such a great tool for like the part one of the serial to like introduce us to this concept and this idea of these people that are like frozen in time, and they are basically preserved to re-establish the human race on Earth.
Hmm.
It's a cool idea. It's a very science fiction-y idea that Doctor Who doesn't really do that much of the time, especially coming from the Third Doctor era, where we didn't really have these hard science fiction concepts.
Yeah.
It's cool to have something like that again in Doctor Who, and to have it be a core of this serial.
Yeah, it definitely is a cool concept. Especially I thought the set design for it was really good.
Yeah.
Really kind of believable. Like it didn't really ever feel like a set. It was very, I guess, realistic. Didn't feel like cardboard cutouts. Felt like real buttons and switches and corridors.
The corridor set in particular looks really good of like outer space and like
Yeah.
the window to space. That set looks awesome.
And the rooms with all the people in it, they really feel like cavernous. Like it just goes on and on.
Yes, which is like you would have to imagine it'd be pretty hard for that budget that they're working on. That set would have is very impressive in terms of that. Like they would have had the space for a big set. So
Mhm.
the fact that they're able to have that sense of scale is really well done from the director's standpoint.
Absolutely.
Except for, of course, there's some things in it that's kind of like I obviously could tell that like in the cryo sleep portion that it's just styrofoam, and you can even hear it when they come out of it. Did you hear that sound?
No.
But like you hear like the squeaks of what happens when you like
Yeah,
touch
yeah.
or like step on like styrofoam. You hear like the creaks of it, and you can just tell it's just styrofoam that they didn't paint at all or anything. It's just white styrofoam.
Wow. Overall, though, I think the set is really good.
Yeah.
Costume wise, I thought the Wern were also very well done.
But, like, it's the wearing is hard because, like, in some ways, the design of it, you go, it's a design that they can't do on the budget that they
Yeah.
have.
I mean, I think the green bubble wrap that kind of aspect of things looks like green bubble wrap. But when it's the actual like insects, I thought dude didn't think that looked terrible.
I love the green bubble wrap personally. It's just I think that has a charm to it more than like
Oh, for sure.
these like hand painted like insect creatures that just look like arts and crafts. I think that they kind of I wish that they had some elements of like more articulation to them. Make them feel a little bit more alive than what they are. They're just kind of just like I don't even know how you would describe their movements, but it's kind of like very stiff. And it's not really they don't look alive.
Yeah, I think they have some like miniatures for when they're like looking outside when they're on the spaceship in the end part. That looked pretty good too, though. A little bit more mosquito-y than man in a suit.
Yeah. It's just like when we get those the majority of the time when we see them, it's kind of I don't think they really work. It's has a charm to it, of course, that it's cute. It's just like from especially going from the body horror element to it to have it be
Yeah.
kind of more of a cartoonish handmade insect looking thing. Like I wish there was a little bit. I think that personally, I think the designs of like the mutants look a little bit better than the where
Uh,
in my opinion.
I guess I see that. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose there's a charm to the simplicity of the green bubble wrap where there are definitely times where it looks like green bubble wrap, but there are also times where it looks like a squirming maggoty thing.
But also, like, I feel like in so much of those scenes, you're not even really paying attention to the green bubble wrap just because of how good Kenton Moore is giving of a performance as Noah.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
those moments of body horror, he has a great facial expressions of pure dread. And like, especially like in the later points when he is mutating, like you really feel like he gives a great job in those scenes. That I feel like you can look past the green bubble wrap just because of how good of a performance he's giving.
hmm Oh yeah, the whole body horror aspect of this episode was very well done. The whole concept of insects that just at a touch of them they infect you and you metamorphosize into one of them and it's like a hive mind kind of thing or something really interesting. And I agree the performance. I thought Noah's kind of speech that he gave as, he was starting to lose control was really good. I was looking at the transcripts because I remember that speech being really good. And it's definitely not so much the words he sang, but the performance he was giving that is really good.
No, it's fantastic, and it is the point of the serial where you go like, this is a Philip Hinchcliffe story, not a Barry Letts story, because I feel like Barry Letts and Terrence Dicks wouldn't have gone that far with the body horror and the horror aspect of it. You can definitely feel like Philip Hinchcliffe, and this is like the first time where you really see Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes really trying to scare the kids at home.
Oh
And
yeah.
like this would be terrifying to kids 12 and under at that time.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely some kids behind the sofa for this one.
But like just like the core idea of just like changing into this creature and not wanting to, and like your mind slowly going, and just like it is something that would keep a kid up at night. You would imagine. And it's kind of popularized that like Philip Hinchcliffe and Robert Holmes era kind of mix a more teenage audience and a more college aged audience of the show. And you can definitely imagine that like maybe kids that were watching it during puberty, this is kind of the show kind of growing with them in a way.
Mhm.
That there's a little bit more of a bite to it than the third Doctor stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely much appreciated. Any thoughts about like Vira or any of the other humans?
Fine. She works as what the story needs her to be, which is commander at a basically a commander at a point of the serial. She's a little bit more. She's not really that doesn't have that much emotion in the serial. She's a little bit more colder and a little bit more like thought over like emotion
Mhm.
that which makes it kind of like not the most memorable character in the world, but she's not bad. It's just like I don't have anything in particular to say about her as a character
Okay.
or a performance. What about you?
Yeah, that's you basically said it. Maybe I'm just not on it today. Like, I really like this story, but I feel like I don't have many thoughts. It was just really good.
But see, that's the hard thing when it comes to some stories that like the bad ones and the good ones, you both kind of don't have as much to say about them just because your thought process is just going, oh, it's very good. And it's like it's the mid mixed ones where you go like you can really talk about it because you can go like back and forth, back and forth. Like an episode like we did with the Sea Devils. Sea Devils, we went a little bit longer in that one. And that's a story that you can't kind of it's not perfect. So you can kind of say, like, all right,
There's a lot that we can dig into. Yeah.
this they could do better. This one they can't. Like, what is up with that scene? With an episode like the Ark in Space, you kind of just go like, "This is very good."
Yeah, I don't know what is there anything that doesn't work here? Is there anything that could be done differently to make this a 10 out of 10 story? I'm assuming it's not a 10 out of 10 story for you.
I want them to do the Warren in like New Who. I want to see what the Warren would look like with modern special effects really badly. To see like do a story where like this do a body horror episode where these guys on a ship are transforming into these insects. Basically, I'm just saying do Alien, but but Doctor Who, which of course that's a lot of people say that the story it's kind of them doing Alien before Alien.
Really? A lot of direct comparisons? I've not seen Alien.
Well, just the body horror element of it, and just having this invading alien species come on board this ship and slowly I guess it's different because we're not trying to take over and the alien's just trying to kill people. But like there's a lot of people, including Stephen Moffat himself, that says like what the hell, alien? You just stole Doctor Who. But like in terms of what the story could do better, maybe like in some ways, I wonder what a 5-pot episode of the Ark in Space would look like if you just gave, like, especially pot 4, if you gave it a little bit more time to breathe.
Yeah, it feels like the entire lot of them were killed off pretty quick at the very end.
Yeah, it's kind of that pot kinda is not the greatest, but, like, for majority of it, though, this story's kind of great. Like, I have no notes. I don't know how you feel yourself.
Yeah, it's really good.
Which, interesting, there is some behind the scenes stuff when it comes to in terms of the ending. We do know that the Robert Holmes and the director was having some debate on the ending. From what the original script was, the director wanted something different. Holmes said, "I don't really like that either." So he decided to come up with the idea of Noah blowing up the shuttle with the Warren on it, which I think it works. I think it would work less if you didn't have that Noah element to it, that his humanity is still there and it did save the day and did destroy the Rhine. Without that, I think the ending it would have been a really it would have brought the story down a little bit.
It's the indomitable will of humanity that saves the day, not necessarily just the doctor.
Which again kind of is like there's a lot about that in this story, of course, with the Doctor. There's like we talked about, says a lot about the great aspects of humanity, and having that be the little bow at the end does work really well.
Agreed.
Even though like there is a little bit there that's still not perfect.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, like it still feels a little bit too easy of a way to defeat the Warren. There could have been some more drama there, a little bit more suspense, and maybe another action sequence. You could have expanded the first half of Part 4 and had like Part 5 just be a whole new ending, and that could have worked. It would have been interesting, but also that could have sucked the story's pacing and it could have sucked. Thank God this is a four-parter in some ways because it's a really easy watch to put on.
Yeah, it was great.
A cool fun fact about the Ark in Space is that both Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, the two guys who wrote the most amount of New Who and the two of the three showrunners of Doctor Who, of the New Who, I should say, have both cited that this is their favorite classic Doctor Who story, which is interesting. It's not considered to be like fans don't think that this is the fans love it, of course. It's really high up in the polls, as you could imagine, but it's not like it's a top 10 of the fan polls, you know?
Really? Not top 10.
It's kind of interesting that the two showrunners said that this is their favorite.
Cool. Cliffhangers for this episode. The first one, Harry is looking for a resuscitation unit to revive Sarah, opens up a cupboard and finds the body of a giant insect. Ah.
Ah, weightless, poorly aged prop.
The second one is Noah finds out that he is starting to transform. His hand is completely turned green.
Ah, green bubble wrap.
And then in the third one, a giant insect approaches the doctor in the solar stack.
I just have Noah needs a new skincare routine.
I guess so. And then in the last one, the doctor and co trans Matt down to Earth.
Remember I told you last episode, Ben, that there is a running thing this season.
An ongoing story throughout the whole season? That's crazy.
So just wait.
That mean there are no books that take place between these episodes?
Well, you can't. Well, this one you can't because it's like it's direct. Like it's gonna they're going to Earth.
I mean, and robot to this. This is clearly this just happened.
I kind of like that in Doctor Who when the Doctor Who does that. It's kind of tight. That it's just like next episode leads into next episode leads into the next episode. I love it when the episodes do that.
Oh yeah, I can appreciate just purely episodic stuff, but I like it more when it is something ongoing that I can kind of latch on to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. So, Cameron, how would you rank this episode?
See, it's hard because it's like, am I gonna rate this too high to fuck my ratings up for the entirety of the run?
Like, I'm already feeling like I rated Robot too high. Like, Robot is good, but maybe it's a high 7 and not a low 8.
Nah, it's a low 8.
What is this then? A high 8?
It's a good story, dude. Good story. But I can say this is a really good story. So I gotta give it.
Can you give it a low 9?
I'm gonna give it a low 9. It's just now like, all right, where in the low nines do I put it?
Do you think you'll ever get a perfect 10?
I possibly could in 2 episodes, Ben.
Do you think Genesis is gonna be a perfect 10?
It could like some days I watch it and go, yeah, this kind of is a 10. Like
Wow, I'll hype myself up then.
it's really fucking good. But Hawking Space, I'm gonna go 9.3.
Wow.
It's really good, Ben. I like we talked about. There's not a lot here that we can even say is bad. Even the bad thing we're talking about, the ending, we still like the ending.
Yeah.
It's just like it could have been resolved in a little bit like a more dramatic way. It's kind of a little bit anticlimactic, but it has a nice little bow to it that I can appreciate.
Yeah. I'm thinking it's a 8.9. Really good. Don't think I like it quite as much, but really, really good. And of course, the polls pretty consistent. In 2009, it was number 10, and in 98 and in 2014 and 2023, it is ninth place. So it is in the top 10.
But like top 10 in terms of all of Classic Who
Oh, classic Who.
or just Doctor Who in general.
Wow. It's a top 10 fourth Doctor story. Where is it on?
So I had that pulled up on the 2014 list when they did all of the Doctor Who stories at that point on the list. It ranked number 22
That's still
overall.
pretty good.
So just made into the top 25, and that's top 25 of all Doctor Who stories up until the Day of the Doctor. Or Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor. I think it's Day of the Doctor. No, I think it's Time. I think they would have ended with Time.
Awesome.
Yeah, but both ratings, of course, make sense. It's a really good story. It deserves to be in the top 10 of Tom Baker. I could even see myself putting in the top 5 of Tom Baker. And in terms of Doctor Who, I totally understand putting this in the top 25 of all time list. It's definitely one of the greats.
Yeah.
Up there in stories like we did before in the third Doctor run. It's up there with the likes of Inferno, Spearhead from Space, and Green Death.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about also just like those Doctor Who stories that if somebody said, I want to watch the top 5 Doctor Who stories, if let's say you came to me and you said, Cameron, I want to watch Classic Doctor Who, but I don't want to watch all of it, the Ock in Space would be on that list
Mhm.
of just like, you have to watch the Ock in Space for a Doctor Who story.
All right. Before the episode ends and before this becomes written in stone, I think I'm going to bump it up to 9. You've convinced me. That's good.
We did it, folks.
You did it. Alrighty.
But like, would you agree? Would if somebody was watching Doctor Who and they said, "Give me the top 5," well, I guess it's hard for you because you only see 2 Tom Baker
Yeah.
stories. but like, you would recommend somebody that hasn't watched Classic Doctor Who to watch Doc in Space, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it could be up there. Very good. Definitely one that I would recommend. All right. So I think that'll do it, Cam. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, give us a follow everywhere, give us a rating, check out our TikTok, follow us on Twitter. Do all the things that you do to support us. We really appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out, everyone.